All right, we are back on the Andre Duke Show with Carter Smith. Carter, how was your weekend? Another football Sunday in the books.
Yeah, absolutely, man. No, it was a good weekend. Good weekend. It was busy. Had soccer, of course, on Saturday with my daughter. And she, as we talked about it Saturday when we went live, but she's out there. Honestly, she's killing it. Just getting breakaways. She's got to work on finishing. So this week, Tuesday when I have her, I'm gonna work on it a little bit in the backyard and get her to score some goals, and then Sunday, my oldest daughter just started doing volleyball. So we had volleyball. Luckily, it was at like 5:15, so it was just after the Browns game. So got to watch my Browns get a nice little dub, and then go to volleyball. And it was my son's birthday Sunday, so then we went out to dinner, had a nice little birthday dinner for him. He turned 2. Went back, had some cake, and it was a great weekend, man. Overall, Buckeyes didn't play. Notre Dame got a big dub. Browns got a dub. Indians look good. It was a great weekend for me. What about you, man? How was yours?
Oh, it was really a good weekend. Can't complain. Got a little grilling done. Watched Notre Dame, of course. Had a couple of adult beverages. Had some people come over. Did a little bit of football palooza, and in outside of that, nothing too
Yeah,
major, and got it
the way to
rolling.
do it.
So, first
Good deal.
topic,
Yeah,
first
absolutely, man.
Billy Napier, is he going to be out at Florida? I just don't see how this is going to end
Yeah.
well
So
for
re-
anybody.
reports have come out, and here, I'll throw it on the screen here so everybody can see what we're talking about here. Uh, but Billy Napier out at Florida, essentially. The University Board of Trustees had a meeting Sunday about, his buyout and raising the funds for it and doing everything they need to do. Now, here's the thing. He came out either yesterday or today and said that nobody's talked to him about his job, and essentially just, that he's treating it as business as usual, and he's moving forward. The problem with that is, dude, with his schedule and the way they've started, if nobody's talking to you about your job, you're already gone. It's done. It's over. And he had a chance this Saturday to win a big game and try to fix the issues, or try to at least get something that he can sell to the boosters, to the AD, to everybody else. Is like, hey, look, I know we had a rough year, because here's the thing. His next few games, he's got Mississippi State this week. If he doesn't win against Mississippi State, who we'll talk about in a minute, I don't know where his next win comes from. I mean, UCF, that's not going to be an easy game. Kentucky is apparently a decent team. And then you run through the gauntlet of Tennessee, Georgia, Bama, like all those schools, and Florida State, hopefully. Like, I don't know how he gets to, and I said it before the year, and I had Florida fans in the comments, in my DMs, telling me, you're an idiot. 4 wins. Are you crazy? We're going to go at least 8. Okay. Show me 8 wins on this schedule right now. Because so far you've got 1, and it's over Samford. And that's not Stanford. That's Samford.
Yeah.
And I just don't see many wins.
There is a lot of heat. I know the Florida message boards are going wild. We can. I spoke with somebody today. Lane Kiffin is not coming.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Unless something major changes, unless it falls off the rails at Ole Miss, but I don't see that happening. But I was told from a very reliable source today, Lane, you just might as well just kiss that one goodbye. Just is all I'm saying.
Well, Lane hasn't said it himself, so it's not necessarily a done deal.
But it's also
because if Lane comes out and says, I'm not taking the Florida job, you can write it in the books. He's going to Florida. But I think that's probably not going to happen. And I don't think that's who they should go for. Well, they definitely should. But I think, they're going to take two big swings. It's going to be Urban and Lane, and then they're going to go down their list when they get told no by both of them.
Right. And it's September. So how about Florida fans? I think you're going to have a hard time looking in the mirror on this one. I know we disagree on this, but they're going to have a hard time looking in the mirror on this situation just for the simple fact of not everybody is lining up to take this job because you fire everybody. And I think that is a Florida problem.
No, I disagree. I think there's going to be a lot of people lining up to take this job. I just don't think it's going to be. Look at who's taken the job in the past. You haven't gotten established guys that have won big national championships and things like that. Like Urban Meyer, when he took the Florida job, was the head coach at Utah. Like, it's not like you got this guy that had proven at a big program. Dan Mullen was the head coach at Mississippi State. Like, it's I just don't see it. But that's okay. You can still get a big name. You're just not going to get Lane Kiffin or Urban Meyer. That's okay. You don't normally get those guys. Just get somebody. You can get Fran Brown from Syracuse after he makes the playoffs this year.
That's a distinct possibility because he was down there with Urban during Urban's run, wasn't he?
I'd have to look. I don't remember him being there, but I wasn't. I don't think he was there when Zach was there, at least. But Zach left before Urban did, so he might have been there towards the end. But I know they know each other. I know they are like Fran's very well respected, and obviously he's doing a phenomenal job at Syracuse right now. So that could definitely be a possibility. But yeah, you just look at the schedule. I mean, you got Mississippi State, UCF. Hopefully you win one of those, and it better be this week because I don't know if you're beating UCF. And then you got to go Tennessee, Kentucky, probably losing both those. Georgia, Texas, losing both those. LSU, Ole Miss, losing both those. And then Florida State. And if Florida State ever figures out how to play football, you're probably losing that one too. So literally your last chance at a win could be this weekend.
Well, aren't they chasing each other with squirt guns at practice?
I did see that, dude. I did see that from Florida State. And that's a bad look, man. You're 0-3. Like,
what are we doing?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to get too much. I still think Norvell's a good coach. They've completely abandoned high school recruiting and have gone all in on the transfer portal. And it's like, that's not working. It's not working for anybody really, but you can use the transfer portal, but that can't just be your end all be all.
Well, you're building a lateral program at that point because the lifeblood of college football is high school recruiting. We don't have to dive down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, well, and another program that's doing that they got to win. They got to win, but you don't really want to be Colorado. And Colorado went out this weekend. They beat Colorado State, which after all the shit talking Colorado State did, had to feel good. And did you see Shedeur Sanders and the quarterback Felix, whatever? I don't fucking know his name.
Nicolosi.
Yeah, Nicolosi. Did you see that?
Yes, I see that. And then what they're not showing you is that after him and Nicolosi had that interaction, there's another clip that I don't think is getting enough pub. There's like 6 or 7 Colorado State defenders or guys on the team. They're sitting there chopping it up and talking and dabbing each other up. So from what I have gathered on that, I heard there was a lot of stuff that was being said to the Colorado players, and that's on Twitter that I'm not going to repeat on our platform. Yeah. That is not. There's no place, regardless of how much you like somebody. There's no place. There's no need for that in college football. I understand it's a rivalry and you hate each other, but there's just some things that are off limits. And then also, I got a chance to call into Matt McChesney's show 0 to 60 podcast, and I talked to them a little bit. They did a live stream. Matt graduated from Colorado. got to talk to them a little bit and talk about what he was seeing. You know, he was a former NFL player too, and he covered it. I mean, he's out in Colorado, so he covered it real close. But I just think the Nicolosi kid talked all that shit, and
Mm-hmm.
then he gave Travis Hunter saying you're small.
Yeah, that was so fucking stupid, dude. Like
Like
Travis Hunter of all people. Like
like
we all know he's him. Like relax.
yeah, there's been a little regardless of whatever is going on there. I think for the Colorado Buffaloes, that is a good quality win to do it on the road. I mean, it's up in Fort Collins, so it's
Yeah.
not really a road game, but that game was so personal and they talked all that
Mhm.
stuff like Nicolosi, I got offered 600 grand that Jay Norvell said, I wouldn't give that kid $60.
Yeah.
I get it. You have a personal tie to Colorado State, but I mean, it is
Yeah. No. No.
Colorado A&M at this point. They are a bunch of sheep, and they go ba ba.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't call it a quality win. Like Colorado State's still Colorado State. They were terrible. They got blown out by like 50 in week one. They're not a good team. So I wouldn't call it a quality win. Just like last year. This is the same shit that happened last year. Colorado beat Colorado State in double overtime last year or whatever. And everybody was like, oh shit, Colorado. Oh shit. And it's like, bro, they beat Colorado State. It's not that impressive. Everybody beats Colorado State. Now, there's a lot more to it because it's a rivalry and they were talking all this shit and it was in the headlines and I get all that, but it's still not a quality win. You didn't beat an opponent that does anything. Like you still haven't beaten a good team. Like they're not a good team. Colorado State's a really bad team.
Here's what I'll say: we'll find out more when they play Baylor. If Baylor's
maybe, yeah.
Baylor beat Air Force, and Air Force isn't an easy opponent. Service
No,
Academy.
I agree with that. But they had their chance already. They had their chance to get a win against a quality opponent, and they fucking blew it. Last week against Nebraska, you could have shown everybody that you're legit, and you couldn't because you're not good. But now you're going to go beat Colorado State. Maybe you beat Baylor, who I still don't think Baylor's anything. Like, you're going to beat all these teams. Maybe. I mean, last year you only won 4 games, so you're probably not going to beat all these teams. But if they do go out and win a couple more games, like, I still just they're a fraud team. Like, they aren't a good team. They just aren't.
But, I think we got to have more of a sample size, but I think, in just my opinion, Matt Rule and Nebraska are probably going to be undefeated rolling into Columbus.
Probably, yeah, I think so.
And they could be a fringe playoff team. I know
absolutely. No, I don't. I'm not discounting how good Nebraska might be or how good they are. I'm just saying that was your good team you could have beat.
Yeah, and yeah. So the jury's still out on Colorado as far as this goes. We'll see what they do in conference play.
But for anybody that hasn't seen, I do want to show just the video of Shedeur kind of giving him the, like, hey, bro. And so a lot of people have a problem with this. I don't.
I don't either.
I don't. That motherfucker talks so much shit before the week. Like, hey, you got something to say to me? It better be I'm sorry. And if it's not, fuck you. Like, you're going to talk about, like, hey, listen, I appreciate the guy. What's his name again? The quarterback for Colorado State?
Brandon Faden something Nicolosi.
Nicolosi, that's it, yeah. I appreciate him trying to shake his hand. Like, I mean, hey, good game. But I have no problem with Shedeur being like, no. You got something to say now? And you can tell in the video, he's like, nah. He's like, all right, then fuck you. I'm out. Like, I'm not dealing with that shit, man. Like, you were talking all this shit. We beat you. Now you have to stand in the paint and take it and just say, hey, I was wrong. You guys are the better team. He says that. I bet Shedeur daps him up. I bet it's all cool, like whatever. But he's too much of a pussy to take his words and eat them.
Right. And that's what it was. I mean, Colorado was absolutely anemic on offense, or Colorado State anemic on offense. So, and they broke an attendance record at their venue.
Of course they did, because Prime brings the fans, man. But I agree, Zach. Everybody does forget Colorado was a dumpster. Like, I mean, they won one game, 2 years ago? They were
Yeah,
absolutely awful. And I hate them or love them, Dion brings the media, brings the circus to town, and it gets eyes on it. And I mean, he hasn't necessarily turned the program around in any way other than winning a couple more games than one, which isn't a very high bar. But they're at least getting money and getting attention, and he's about to get his son drafted.
I think from last year where they were, they're leaps and bounds.
I'm not ready to say that. I mean, I
I
don't
mean,
know what makes you think that, other than they didn't have to go to overtime to beat Colorado State, I guess.
well, that and
The offensive line is still trash. The defense is still trash outside of Travis Hunter. I mean, I don't see much improvement at all
I
when you look at their film.
I think they have to. I think they have to stop the run more. They got to be
They
more
can't
funda-
stop the run.
They got to be more fundamentally sound. But I think in the second half of games, they have been. I think they're doing a better job of making adjustments, and I think their
Okay.
personnel is slightly better than what it was last
Yeah,
year.
it might be a little bit more improved. And I think they'll win more than 4 games. I'd have to look at their schedule to really pick how many games. But they lost the one game I really wanted to watch. They
I think.
might
I
beat
think
Baylor.
realistically 6-6. That is a.
Here, let me pull it up. Now I need to know.
Now you're curious, but I think
Yeah.
6-6 is a
All right, here we go.
higher
So
bar than
let's run
1
through
and
it. Let's
11.
run through it. Let's run through it real quick. Baylor this week, W or
I
L?
I think it's a coin flip.
Okay, so we'll say W for right now. UCF L, Kansas State L, Arizona L,
I
Cincinnati.
don't know. I don't know about
You think they
Arizona
could
yet.
beat Arizona right now?
I mean, Arizona beat them by a field goal last year, and they don't have Jed Fish.
No, but they. I mean, I don't know. They have whatever Tater Tot or whatever his name is, the quarterback. But all right, we'll get okay. So hey, here's what I'll say: they're going to win one of Baylor and Arizona. They're not going to win both.
Okay, I'll give you that.
Okay, so now they're 1-3 through the next 4. Cincinnati
Yes.
win.
Yeah.
Okay. Texas Tech.
I don't know. Where's that at?
That one is at Texas Tech.
I think they could beat Texas Tech. Texas Tech isn't very good.
Okay, so now they're 3 wins. Utah
3-3.
L. Kansas L.
Right after they lost to UNLV?
They'll get it right, man. Oklahoma State L. So they got 3 more wins on the schedule. What's that put them at? 5?
Yeah. But
Okay, cool. One better than. So even if they beat Kansas, they only go 6-6. That's not a good football team.
I think they'll be 6-6 because they're going to beat one of those teams that they're not supposed to.
All right, 6-6. Is that a successful year at Colorado?
From being 1-11.
Yeah, but this is the only program in America that gets this much media attention and goes 6-6 and says "Oh, that's a good year." Why are we talking about them then?
I guess from where they were to opposed to where they're at, this is the biggest college football social experiment that has taken place.
Yeah, so, it really is. It's all smoke and mirrors. It's all just garnering attention, and he's going to get Shedeur drafted in probably the top 5, or at least in the first round. And I think that was the whole plan, is just get his son's name in the media so much that he gets drafted like that. I don't know what else you're trying to accomplish, because you're not trying to put a good product on the field. They're still a bad football team. 6-6 is a terrible year for most schools.
Not if you're Vanderbilt.
What? Who the fuck talks about Vanderbilt? Have we mentioned Vanderbilt on this program once ever until right now?
Hey, easy on the Vanderbilt hate, Carter. What about this?
Okay, let's see. What's up, ZD? Real talk. McCord looks good at Cuse. Leonard looked good at Duke. Puts on the Golden Dome. What happened? So, okay. We'll dive into that real quick before we move on. I agree. McCord looks really good at Cuse. That's weird. I think McCord looks good at Cuse partly because of the level of competition he's playing against. I don't think he's played anybody that really good. But also, I got to tell you, he looks like a totally different person than what I saw in Columbus last year. He is out there. He's got some moxie to him. Like he looks like a dude that I actually would want to play with. Like he's out there like, these guys fucking suck. They're shit. Like he's talking that shit. And he would never dare to do that at Ohio State. Are you kidding me? He looked like a little puppy that had been beaten at Ohio State. But he's in a different situation. And Fran Brown maybe brought that dog out in him. I don't know. As far as Leonard goes, he looked good at Duke, but he looked a lot like what we're seeing at Notre Dame. It's just everybody wanted to ignore it. He was never a good passer at Duke. He threw 3 touchdowns last year. Like, he's never been a good passer. And everybody just thought, oh, he's got the intangibles. He can run. He's Catholic Tebow, like whatever, and thought that he would just come to Notre Dame, elevate his play, and be something he never has been. So I don't know if they're the same, but absolutely, the last part of your statement about big programs being built differently are 100% true. You get into a program like Ohio State, Notre Dame, Bama, Michigan, Georgia, those expectations and the pressure you feel, it's so much different than being at a Duke or a Syracuse. Like you actually have to step up and play. That's something that nobody's seen. And then, like, they've never felt that. And so for McCord, the reason I think McCord looks so good is because he's felt that pressure. He knows what it feels like. So when he walks into a game at Syracuse, man, it's like it feels like a practice to him. Like his practices at Ohio State were so much harder than his games at Syracuse that it's easy. So I'm not surprised by McCord being good. Leonard, we'll talk about him in a little bit, but it is what it is.
Okay. Next topic. The vaunted monsters of the Midway, Chicago Bears, where QBs go to die. Last night, Caleb Williams kind of got his ass kicked.
Caleb Williams absolutely got his ass kicked. And just this is all you really need to see.
Yep.
Entire time. And the problem is he's not anything other than what we said he was going to be. He's nothing. Caleb Williams is what Caleb Williams always was. He was great in college against really bad teams. That's it. The problem in the NFL is every single week you're playing Notre Dame. And you're playing teams better than Notre Dame. Like every defensive player on the roster is better than most of the defensive players on the good defenses in college. Like even bad defenses in the NFL, you can't run around. It's Johnny Manziel, right? Caleb Williams is just Johnny Manziel if he actually studied film. Like you run around and they broke it down. Everybody's talking about his offensive line. Now, his offensive line is not very good. I agree. But his average time to throw is over 4 seconds.
Yeah.
In the NFL, you can't hold the ball that long. I don't care if you're scrambling around. And the problem is, in college, he would do that. He would scramble around, avoid pressure, and throw it 40 yards downfield. The guy would be wide open. What happened last night? He scrambled around, avoided pressure, broke out of sacks, did everything that everybody loves about him, right? His athleticism, his ability to create, his ability to improvise, all that. And then he would throw it downfield, and there'd be fucking 4 defenders right there that he just threw into, and it'd be picked off. And that's why you can't do that in the NFL. If you can't get on a schedule, if you can't get into at least less than 3 seconds to throw, you're going to suck. And he's holding the ball too long. He's not getting it to where it needs to go. And it's just he is what I said he was going to be. He's not good. And here's the thing. They lost to the Texans last night, right?
Yes, it was the Texans.
Who did the Texans draft 2 years ago?
Oh, CJ. I mean, there's a huge –
Whose pick was that?
Oh.
That was their pick, but Bryce Young went first, who also now just got benched for Andy Dalton, right? And so
yeah.
Number one picks not having good days. But the Bears could have had the number one pick in that draft and drafted CJ Stroud.
And I just I feel like whenever we're talking Caleb Williams, Bryce Young, CJ, or even you want to bring in Fields for that matter, the CJ and Justin are now at organizations that have infrastructure. Carolina is an absolute dumpster fire.
CJ is not an organization that had infrastructure when he got drafted.
They made the playoffs. He's got an offensive line.
Once he got there, but the 2-3 years before, they were a fucking shit show.
Oh, well, look at who was running that place. So that tells you everything you need to know.
Well, I get that, but what I'm saying is it's not like here, right there, Fields in Pittsburgh. Yeah, Fields looks decent in Pittsburgh. He's still not looking great, but Pittsburgh's just different because it's Pittsburgh, like you said, organizations, right? But it's not like CJ got drafted to the Steelers or the Packers or somebody that just never sucks. CJ got drafted to one of the worst organizations in the NFL.
And I think that they made a lot of changes. Like they got real aggressive in the draft.
Which is what the Bears tried to do.
Well, let's remember that the same organization drafted Trubisky and he took him to the playoffs, and they dumped Mitch and drafted Justin. Literally gave Justin no help. They gave him zero help.
Yeah.
Whatsoever, and he won 7 games for him.
Yeah. I'm just saying. Do you think this team would be better off if they had Justin Fields and Marvin Harrison Jr. and then a tackle at number 9?
Yes, absolutely.
Well, it's crazy that they could have actually done that. I mean, they would have had to at least pay Justin Fields hundreds of millions of dollars, right?
I think
no, actually. Oh, you could have just
picked up his
contract, pick up the option. Yeah,
you could have picked up the option, seen how it was. I don't think you maybe would have had if you would have picked up. They would have had more already. You put Marv in the mix, and you would have got.
They could have done literally every move they did this offseason, pretty much, and just kept Fields. Like, they didn't move a lot of draft capital to get Keenan Allen or to do any. Like, they could have done anything they did and kept Fields, drafted Marvin Harrison Jr. instead of Rome Odunze, and then drafted a tackle at 9 and improved that offensive line. And I think they'd be better off. And they'd have and if it doesn't work, let's say you're terrible, which they're going to be terrible again this year. Then guess what? You just don't re-sign Fields, and next year you draft Quinn Ewers or Carson Beck or whoever.
Yeah, it's
organizational dysfunction kills franchises. I'm a Browns fan. I'm well aware of it. We do it all the time. Thank God Deshaun Watson looked like a halfway competent quarterback this week, but that happens 4 times a year out of 17 games, so we already wasted one. But
I think the Browns should roll with Jameis, see what he's got.
I mean, I'm not opposed to it, whatever.
But
let's
look.
Go ahead.
One last thing on the Caleb Williams thing. He was 23 of 37 in 2 picks, sacked 7 times.
Mm-hmm.
But also there's a stat out there that, no Bears quarterback has thrown for 4,000 yards.
How many yards did he throw for last night?
174.
174? Okay.
And he threw for 93 last week.
Yeah. Do you know that? I forget the stat. It's something like Caleb Williams is the first number 1 overall pick to average less than 100 yards a game in his first 2 starts.
Yeah.
And or something like that. I forget. But then he also, do you know his average length, like his average distance of throw? Like how far his completions are going?
It's got to be under 5 yards.
Yeah, it's like 3.8.
So,
like he can't push it downfield. It's bad. It's really bad. And he got a lucky win week 1 when he didn't even score a touchdown offensively. Like they're going to be bad. They're just going to be bad, and it's okay. They're the Bears. They're always bad. Aaron Rodgers still owns them, and he's not even in Green Bay anymore, and he still just is owning the franchise. But regardless, Bears suck. Browns are okay, I guess, maybe. Who knows? Steelers are lucky as fuck. Bengals might suck, apparently. You can go through the NFL. They all suck.
yeah, well.
But let's get into some college football, though. We had a good weekend. Great weekend.
Arkansas State covers against Michigan.
They can't. Michigan and Alex Orji today. Alex Orji named starting quarterback against USC. They finally got their guy. It took them 2 weeks and all offseason, but they finally got Cam Newton 2.0. It's going to start. He's still only thrown like 2 passes all year, but he's going to start. And
I've seen some of the passes that he's thrown when he has thrown it, and it's yikes.
Yikes is right. And there's a reason he wasn't the starter, obviously, and it's because he can't throw. So now they've just decided, well, Davis Warren went 14 for 14 on Saturday. The problem was that 3 of those 14 went to the other team.
Inopportune interceptions. U of M is bad.
Yep. And so here's my bettors pick of the week for everybody. USC is minus 6.5 right now, I believe, on the road at Michigan. So Michigan's going to be the underdog at home against USC. Hammer that 6.5. Take USC minus the points. USC is going to dog walk this team.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that pans out. I will be on the. I was a smart guy and bet it at 5.5, so got in a little early as soon as I seen it.
Michigan was favored before the season.
Yes. Did you see the Ohio State?
19.5, right?
Yeah, that's like
Michigan fans. How's that feel? You guys are almost 3 touchdown underdogs right now to Ohio State. Ouch.
And with the Orgy running the show, it might even get worse. But we shall see if Jack Tuttle will arise from the rubble and maybe make something of this. Missouri, close call with Boston College. BC might be better than what we think with Bill O'Brien.
Yeah, we'll see. I love Bill O'Brien. I think he's a good coach. He for what he had at Penn State, I thought he did a really good job considering he was given a bag of shit. Yeah. And then he's just not a very good general manager in the NFL. I don't know why he ever did that. Sorry, I was about to cough. But so Missouri barely escapes a game against Bowling Green. And Bowling Green, by the way, 2 weeks in a row went Penn State, Missouri. Big Ten top dog, one of the top dogs in the Big Ten. And then the number 6 team in the country, Missouri, had both of them on the ropes. Bowling Green might be legit.
Yes.
And then Toledo goes down, gets paid $1.2 million to go to Starksville, Mississippi, and just fucking puts it on Mississippi State. I mean, that wasn't even like take them to dinner first. They just went straight to fucking.
Yes. I don't know how. I think Jeff Levy's looking at a rough.
Mississippi State's a really hard place to coach, honestly. I mean, you're second fiddle in the state, especially with the way Lane's got it cooking at Ole Miss, and there's not a lot of talent in that state, so you're not getting any of the talented in-state guys. They're all going to Ole Miss, and then you got to recruit. Jesus, excuse me. You got to recruit nationally, and who the fuck are you getting? You think you're going to steal kids from Georgia, Bama, Florida? Like, get out of here.
Yeah, Starkville it'd be a tough sell.
It's a tough. There's only been really, I mean, without going too far back, the only thing that they had was Dan Mullen had success for half a minute and had him number one in the country with Dak Prescott. But
yes,
outside of that, Mississippi State's never been anything. So it's a really tough play. But having said that, you're still an SEC school. You should beat fucking Toledo.
yes, I agree.
Although Jason Candle has that place cooking too. And he took over for Matt Campbell, who's at Iowa State. And so he got a program that was in a good spot, and he's kept it going. I mean, he's doing well. And so in the last 2 weeks, you have Bowling Green almost beats Penn State and Missouri. Northern Illinois beats Notre Dame. Toledo dominates Mississippi State. Is the MAC actually decent?
Well, the MAC always has NFL guys, and the way I look at it is you have so much movement in the transfer portal, nobody knows what these rosters are, and a lot of those guys that go to the big programs have to find a landing spot, and they end up at MAC schools because – they might be damaged goods, or there might be a narrative out there about them. So, if you're a MAC school, you can't give them a whole bunch of NIL, but you can give them tape. Tape might be more valuable than NIL money in this era at this point. Yeah. And we could have a MAC playoff team.
So I was just about to say, is the Group of 5 team going to be a MAC school? Because if you look at it right now, Northern Illinois was number 23 last week. Toledo's probably going to be ranked. If you get an undefeated Northern Illinois, undefeated Toledo matchup, I think that's late October, early November. It's October 19th. So it's the week after that big slate of games with Oregon, Ohio State, and all those really good games. It's the week after that when the slate's a little bit lighter. If you have Northern Illinois and Toledo both undefeated, both ranked, I'm telling you, College Game Day might show up.
Yeah.
And then you have 2 undefeated ranked MAC schools, another chance to get another ranked win, and then whoever wins that game, runs the table, wins the MAC, is undefeated as a Group of 5 school who's ranked. That might be your Group of 5 playoff school. And that would be awesome. For the Mid-American Conference to be the first Group of 5 team in this 12-team playoff would be huge for that conference. And as a Midwest guy, I'm rooting for it, man. I want Northern Illinois to be in the playoffs. Let's go.
Yeah,
I want Notre Dame to face them.
I don't know if anybody really wants that rematch.
I do. But fuck off.
but speaking of blowouts or getting plowed, the swamp has officially been drained. We talked about Napier at the beginning of the program. Texas A&M with a backup QB came in there and laid some wood.
Mm-hmm.
And pushed Florida around. That is not a good look on the Napier side of it. Texas A&M,
definitely not.
I think Texas A&M completely dominated them. They ran all over them, and there is a lot of fans dressed as empty seats.
Yeah, I've been to the swamp, I don't know, dozens of times. I have never seen that few of fans in the swamp in my life. And I'm talking games that were 77-0 against Western Kentucky. And there's still more people there in the fourth quarter. I had to stay the whole game because I had to go down on the field and see Zach. But anybody else, you can get the fuck out of here. And there's no reason to stay. You got walk-ons playing. But they still had more fans than this. And I just don't know, man. I don't know how you get back if you're Florida. I think that was the game they had to win. Like, Texas A&M is a good team. They're not a great team. You're about to face a lot of really great teams. You have to win that one.
Except Florida State.
Yeah, outside of Florida State, Kentucky I don't think is a great team, who we'll talk about here in a minute. But outside of that, like, you got Texas A&M, Mississippi State, Florida State. Those are 3 games you have to win. And Florida State before the season wasn't a win. I thought they'd lose. Now I don't know if Florida State wins more than 2 games. But it was a bad look. And the problem, the biggest problem is I don't think Billy Napier knows what to do. I think he's coaching for his job and has no idea how to do it because he's so nervous about what's going to happen.
Well, I don't think they're very good on defense. I think they're
not very good anywhere, but They're definitely not good on defense.
But I think if he got another year with Lagway, I think they'd be pretty decent. Because of how much better Lagway can get.
Yeah, but that's the problem. Then if that's the case, why don't you just fucking play the guy? Like, I know you played him, but start him. Play only him. Fuck Graham Mertz. That guy's 75 years old and has proven what he is. Let Lagway come in and get some experience. Like, what are you saving him for? I agree with not starting him against Miami week 1, but after Lagway or after Mertz got concussed, just roll with him. It's already over, man. You're winning 4 games if you're lucky. Roll with Lagway. Let's see what he is. Show the booster. Show everybody, like, hey, we had a rough year, but look at this.
Yeah.
We got this guy. We're good. But instead, you keep going back and forth. You're getting shit on by teams that are mediocre, and you're just going to – it just doesn't make sense. Like, I feel like he's like, no, I don't want to put him out there and ruin him, or I don't want to put him out there and him make mistakes that make me lose more. But you're going to lose either way. Let the guy make mistakes. And if you ruin him, you're probably not going to be the coach next year anyways. But that's mean. You shouldn't, ruin a kid. But I don't know.
I'm picking up what you're putting down.
It just doesn't make sense to me. The way he's handling all of this.
But I don't think it's a win-win for anybody inside of this landscape.
No, everybody's going to lose.
So, but I think they're all chasing Georgia. That's just my opinion.
Who wants the Florida job? I think a lot of people still do. I really do. It's still a job that's going to be sought after by a lot of people. Specifically, Fran Brown would take it. What's his name? Eli Merkowitz or whatever. I forget his name, but he'd probably take it. I mean, there's a lot of people that would take that job just because of where it is and the resources you have, because they do have resources. Billy Napier just hasn't utilized them properly. And they got absolutely fucked this year by the SEC in scheduling. But they wouldn't be a good team even if they had an easier schedule. But you got to play Lagway. That's the only way. And
so also in other news, your guy Brian Kelly almost loses to the other USC. I don't know how they pulled that one out. It was a great game.
It was a great game, and it was a luck of the bayou, I guess, or something. Like, I don't know how he pulled it out. I was so pissed off he did, because as you know, on this program, it's always fuck Brian Kelly. But I was saying, like, I thought they were going to lose that game, and they probably should have. First of all, South Carolina is no joke of an environment. That is a tough place to play. So I'll give them credit for going in there and getting a W. However, South Carolina gave that game away with some of their play calling, some of the penalties, some of the things they did, and they definitely should have won that game.
Yes.
And Brian Kelly just really struggles to beat teams named USC. Like, that's just not his forte. He's not good at it. But he got a win. Good for him. I still think LSU is fraudulent. I think I didn't think much of USC or of South Carolina, but I think a little more highly of them now after watching how they were able to compete with LSU, and then the way they beat Kentucky is pretty impressive.
Yeah, I think that I can't think of his name. The kid eludes his name. Let me see if I can find it. The defensive end.
Their defensive line is ridiculous. Their defense is really good. They have the defensive end you're talking about. I don't remember his name either, but he's a legit, like, NFL prospect. But the other thing that happened is South Carolina's starting quarterback went out, and so they have this kid that can't throw a ball to. They have Alex Orji at quarterback, and he couldn't throw the ball to save his life. Now, my thing was, and I got really pissed off at Beamer about this. It was third and I forget what it was, but at the end of the game, they had a play where they could run one play, and they probably weren't going to get the first down, but you could run a play before you have to kick that field goal, right? And so what does he do? He hands it off up the middle. They get like 1 yard, and now they're kicking like a 50-some yard field goal. Dude, the entire drive, your quarterback has dropped back and scrambled every play. Drop them back, give them a one-read play where you make the read. If it's not there, get the fuck out. And let him scramble, man. He could have picked up 10 yards or whatever and not gotten the first down, but at least it would have been a 40-some yard field goal instead of a 50-yard field goal.
Yes.
I don't understand why you don't try. Like, you just submit. Maybe it's you have that much faith in your kicker. You shouldn't have. He missed twice.
But, and it killed you. Dylan Stewart is the kid's name.
Yes. Yeah. Dylan Stewart's legit.
And talking about improvement, Dylan Gabriel and the Oregon Ducks.
Yeah, that was an impressive win.
They put it on them.
Yeah, they did. In the first half, it was a little close, little close, but I expected it to be close. But yeah, no, Dylan Gabriel looked better. Still not super impressed with his game. I think he's serviceable. I think he's a good quarterback. His passing leaves a lot to be desired, I think, like other quarterbacks that we'll talk about. But the offense looked much improved. They actually were able to run the ball. They were moving the ball very easily. The defense in the first half was a little suspect. They didn't look great, but they tightened it up in the second half. They held them to only 14 points. That was more of what I think everybody expected to see out of Oregon early on, and the fact that we didn't see it against Idaho and Boise State, and then they come out against Oregon State and dominate like that. I mean, that's good news for the Big Ten. That's good news for everybody. Like that's what we wanted to see. So hopefully they can keep it going, because I really want an undefeated matchup on October 12th when it's Ohio State, Oregon, and just to see what that looks like. And you want both teams at their full powers on that game.
Yes, I totally agree with you on that. And then this leads into the next big jump we got here. The Kentucky Wildcats take Georgia to the brink.
Man, I was so ready. As a Kentucky guy, as an alum that went to the school. And I know on Saturday I told you I don't care about Kentucky football, and I really don't. But, like, when they win, I'm excited for them. So I was so ready to just give out an O-C-A-T-S, and they fucking ruined it. But they look good. Kentucky might be better than I thought. That defense looked really good. The offense is very mediocre. They can run the ball. They ran the ball down Georgia's throat the entire game. I mean, they were able to run the ball at will, and then they just abandoned the run for no reason. But it was a great game in Lexington, Kentucky, Commonwealth Stadium, or whatever it's called, Kroger Field now. I mean, that's a fun atmosphere. Now, most people don't give a fuck about the game. They're just there to get drunk, but it's still fun. And they had a great time watching that game. Georgia pulls out the win. Is that a sign of what's to come for Georgia, though?
See, here's where I stand on this Georgia thing. It comes down to, it seems like every year Georgia will get a random road night SEC game, and they struggle. It was 2 years ago. It was Missouri. This year it's Kentucky. So
yeah, and 3 years ago it was Kentucky as well, or something like that. They only won 16-6.
Yes. So I think that a lot of people are saying, "Oh, Georgia looks bad. Georgia looks bad." Okay, they've started slow on offense. And they're kind of spinning the wheels on offense. Yeah. And they got an Alabama coming up. So they come out and they look like what Georgia's supposed to look like, and they beat Alabama. Does this it doesn't fit the narrative. You know what I'm saying? I think I'm going to holster it when it comes to taking shots at the Bulldogs right now, because
they've proven.
I don't, some people want to talk about, well, they look like shit on film. Well, they've won 40 regular season fucking games in a row. 40 in a row. So
yeah, I'm with you. I'm not gonna shit on them. Although, if that pick 6 doesn't get called back, they lost. So
yeah, but it's what it's.
And I don't know, ZD. I don't know if they know that they don't have to punt on 4th down. That's a good question. It's a Stoops, so he's always going to be cautious, I guess. I don't know.
Defensive-minded coaches are normally conservative when it comes to that.
Yeah.
But
before, the other thing on that, so the pick 6 was huge, obviously, but Georgia looked very pedestrian, but I get so annoyed with the bullshit SEC narrative after games like that, where everybody's like, "Oh, well, you know how hard it is to go into Lexington, Kentucky at night and win." Bullshit, motherfucker! I've seen like Western Kentucky do it. It's not that hard.
And I'm not even trying to stick the SEC biased in there at all. I'm just saying that Georgia always has a game, that they struggle, and then.
But that's the first thing Kirby Smart says at the end of the game was like, "Well, when you go on the road in the SEC," it's like, dude.
Okay. Sometimes some people are stuck in their ways, but it just like I'm gonna holster everything when it comes to Georgia until they get something. When they play Alabama and they look pedestrian on offense, okay. It's hard to get the guys up for Kentucky. That's all I'm saying. It's just like Vanderbilt.
But you're so okay. Come on, bro. Don't cut. Damn.
Well,
that's the biggest insult I've heard since somebody called fucking Notre Dame Catholic Miami. Like, damn, dude. We've done a little bit more than Vandy. Like, at least give Kentucky a little bit of flowers. Like, they've done some shit. They've been decent. They're not going 2-10.
No, but you know what I'm saying though.
Yeah. But the thing is, and that we'll talk about it again here in a minute. But that goes back to coaching and just like, dude, your talent is so much better than your opponent. It shouldn't take getting up for the game for you to be able to go out there and win pretty easily. Like, you just go execute. You don't have to be excited. Just go do your job. If you do your job, you're gonna win. Like, and it's not gonna be that hard. You guys are so much more talented than everybody on that roster, outside of maybe 1 or 2 positions. Like, just go execute. It's not that like I'm sick of this. Like, oh, we weren't motivated. Well, motherfucker, the same shit Marcus Freeman said last week. Well, we read the headlines. We didn't prepare well enough. Like. Who the fuck's problem is that? That's you, dude. That's your job.
Okay. Before we get into that, but it's, as Nick Saban said, it's that stuff you guys write. It's like poison. It's like rat poison.
Yeah.
And
you didn't know that before this week?
Also, when it comes to the Georgia thing, it's just I can't get over 40 in a row. 40 regular.
That's impressive. I get it.
So
and Duke, are you trying to get a Vandy sponsorship, or like maybe do you play baseball? You trying to get a scholarship?
No. Yeah, I'm just saying, as far as bottom tier teams in the SEC, because Kentucky for years get beat up in the SEC East. They would get beat up on Georgia, beat up on Tennessee, beat up by Florida. It's just one of those things. And the last SEC topic before we go into the Notre Dame derailment of Purdue. What about Arch Manning? UTSA, Arch Manning.
Dude. Sit yours. He's done. He's cooked. Let Arch spin.
I think Texas has got a pretty bright future. Did you see
absolutely. He looked good. I mean, he looked good.
He looked way better than the spring game his freshman year.
Oh, absolutely. Which you would expect.
Yeah, night and day difference. So,
but no, he looks good. I mean, he's going to be a Manning. He's going to go out there.
But the run, man, the kid's got wheels.
So here's the funny thing. I don't know if you heard Peyton's comments about his speed.
No, I have not.
Oh God, it's so good. He said that He goes, yeah, I don't know where he got that speed from. Like, apparently my dad's athleticism skipped a generation, because his dad, Archie, was decently athletic, but the funny thing is like, bro, that's such a slight to your brother. Like, Cooper Manning was a Division I wide receiver. He's probably used to be pretty fast. And you're just saying it skipped a generation. Like, let's not talk about his dad, was a Division I wide receiver. Let's just talk about how me and Eli weren't fast. And it's just, Cooper Manning has to be the most disrespected brother in the world.
Yeah, a little bit.
So poor guy. At least he's getting some endorsement deals out of it now,
So we are 55 minutes in. If you're watching on Twitter, please hit the like and subscribe button and help us grow this show, because we have a good time doing it. And turn on the bell notifications as well, and share this with anybody. With that being said, let's hop into Notre Dame, Purdue. Purdue looked like an absolute train wreck on defense.
Here's what it was, man. I got to be honest with you. Watching this game, and I've watched it twice, and I'm going to watch the all-22 film probably tomorrow or Wednesday. What it looked like to me is Notre Dame finally looked like they were pissed the fuck off. Like, they came out in that game, and they're like, fuck. We're better than you. We know we're better than you, but we need to show the world we don't fucking suck, and we're pissed off about last week. And they went out, and that defense of Notre Dame went out and said, you aren't moving the fucking ball. It was like, it reminded me like the defense coordinator, Al Golden, had to have gone to that defense before the game, like the goddamn defensive coordinator in Remember the Titans, and told him, I don't want them to gain another inch the rest of the night. They will remember the night they played the Titans. Like, he had to have given them some kind of, either that or they just gave them a bunch of cocaine. I don't know. But that defense played like they had something to play for, which was awesome. And the offense did what it should do, which is run the fucking football and just impose their will on weaker teams. I mean, Riley Leonard looked like a great running back playing quarterback. Jeremiah Love looked phenomenal. Jadarian Price looked phenomenal. Everybody looked really fucking good. And that's what we expect.
Yes. And I think that going into the game, I was skeptical, but I liked what Denbrock did. The only pushback I'm going to give on this is that I'm just want the people to hear this. Running the quarterback like that is not sustainable when you get to the playoffs and when you play a little bit heightened opponents.
Mm-hmm.
Purdue looked like a bad JV football team. You can tell they lost a lot in the portal. They were picked last. They were picked last by the media in the Big Ten. So
this was not like a statement win outside of just making a statement like, "Hey, we don't suck."
Yeah, and I think that if you're Purdue, it is not looking good when you play Indiana at this point. It's just not looking good.
No, but I do want to talk about Riley Leonard specifically for a second, because I saw a lot of people really hyping him up after this game. And don't get me wrong, Riley went out there and he did what he had to do to put on a performance that was going to excite people.
Right.
The problem is he still doesn't look like a good quarterback. Like, he still looked like a very mediocre quarterback. He's great when he's running with the football. He's great when he's scrambling, but he can't play the quarterback position at a very high level. He just can't. He's not good at it. And that's fine. You can win a lot of games with that, but you're not going to win games that matter. Like, when you get to the playoffs, just like you said with running them so much, like, Tim Tebow at least could throw the ball efficiently and effectively, even if he wasn't very good at accuracy and how long it took him to get the ball out. Like, he had such elite people around him, playmakers, that he didn't have to be super accurate with the ball. The problem for Notre Dame is they don't have those guys on the edge. They don't have a Percy Harvin. and they're not going to be able to get wide open so that he can just throw it anywhere and they can adjust and make a catch. He has to be more accurate than he is, and he can't do it. And so that's why I said that's why the graphic is Riley Leonard and Caleb Williams, because Riley Leonard is Caleb Williams right now. Like it looks like Riley Leonard's playing NFL defenses as a college quarterback. He's not Caleb Williams in college, because Caleb was a phenomenal college quarterback. But he looks like he's playing NFL defenses because he can't do the things that he needs to do to be a successful quarterback at this level.
Yeah, and my big issue is that there's no downfield throwing attack, and the receivers still weren't getting open against Purdue.
Yep. Well, here's your downfield throwing attack.
Angeli looking for more. Oh, he dropped in a beautiful ball to Jaden Harrison.
That's your downfield throwing attack. The problem is he's your backup quarterback.
Yeah.
If you want a downfield throwing attack, you have to play Angeli. I'm sorry. Riley Leonard's not going to be able to do it.
And also, with that being said, they blow Purdue out, but at what cost? The offensive line is literally dropping like flies right now. And Marcus talked about it at the press conference, and for all the Notre Dame media, the credentialed media that are selling this as a huge win, I think this is more of a loss than a win.
Yeah, I mean, it's a problem. You lose Ashton Craig for the year, Billy Schruth for at least a couple weeks. You're already young and inexperienced at offensive line. You've already lost another offensive lineman for the year. I mean, there's just not enough depth at that position to continue to lose people. And so as you get into the teeth of this schedule, that's going to show itself. It already did against NIU. That offensive line looked like absolute trash, and that was with Ashton Craig and Billy Schruth. Now, in 2 weeks when they face Louisville, they're not going to have either one of those guys. And I don't think Louisville's a very good team this year, but they're better than Purdue.
Yeah. And,
and it's a problem.
And to address Zach's question here, the issue for the transfer quarterbacks, in my opinion, is you've gone through 3 coordinators, and Marcus has had a new coordinator every year he's been there.
Yeah, so exactly. So hold on, put that back up. So yeah, 2 years of transfer guy, definitely not cutting it. I agree. Now, that's why they brought Mike Denbrock in, right? He is supposed to be the guy that can recruit and develop quarterbacks. They obviously have a quarterbacks coach, Gino Giudigili or whatever. He's been there. This is like his second year. And they did get CJ Carr. So that they were able to recruit quarterbacks recently. They just haven't had a staff the past few years that could. Denbrock and Giudigili were brought in specifically to address that issue because Marcus knows that trying to bank on the transfer portal every year isn't sustainable, and he doesn't want to do it. And I don't honestly know. I take that back. I know why he did it this year, because he wasn't confident in Angeli or Minchie. And so he addressed it in the best way he thought he could. I'm not 100% sure that he needed to do that, because I think Angeli could have been serviceable, especially with the defense they have around him and the run game they can put around him, and especially in the preseason before all the injuries to the offensive line. I think if you put Angeli in this program, they are at least 2-1 right now, if not 3-0.
Right.
And they reminder, Notre Dame has thrown, I think, 1 passing touchdown this year.
And it's Angeli's.
Steve Angeli that threw it. So I'm not a huge Angeli fan. I'm not saying he should start. I'm just saying I don't think they needed to go get a transfer. I think Riley Leonard wanted to come there, and they thought Riley Leonard was an upgrade, and he is in some ways. But that's the problem with the transfer portal, honestly. is you get reliant on it, and you can't see any, like, you see all these like shiny objects that are like, oh, I could get Will Howard, I can get Riley Leonard, I can get DJ Ungale, and you think like that's like those guys are who everybody's talking about. They have to be better than what I have. When in reality, I don't know if they are.
And nobody. Well, I didn't say nobody, but a lot of people didn't press hard enough for Cam Ward, and he looks fantastic at Miami.
Yeah, I mean, there are those situations where the transfer portal guy works out. And like Will Howard obviously is working out so far. I'm not trying to say he's not, but I'm just saying you don't really know what you would have had at Ohio State with Devin Brown or Lincoln Kienholz or Julian Sain or Aaron Nolan because you brought him in. And he's doing great. Riley Leonard's not. So, and neither is DJU. And now Florida State had a much different situation because they have nobody else. Like they have that Brock Glenn guy or whatever that showed he wasn't it in the bowl game. Angeli didn't show that he couldn't play. Angeli went out and won a bowl game.
Right,
and
right.
So it's just the nature of the beast right now. And their quarterback recruiting to this point has been mediocre until the last 2 years when they got CJ Carr and they have Deuce Knight so far. And if Deuce Knight sticks, then I don't think I don't think the transfer portal is going to be where they go from here. I would be really surprised if after this year they brought in another transfer because I think they'll be ready for either CJ Carr, Angeli, or Minchie to take over the reins and get ready for CJ Carr's eventual step into Notre Dame lore as starting quarterback. And then if Deuce Knight comes on campus, he's next up. And so now you start to build a pipeline, kind of like what Ryan Day usually does, that he's gone away from now. But just my opinion.
All right. With that being said, we're about an hour and 5 minutes. So everybody out there watching, whether you're watching on Twitter or YouTube, please hit the like and subscribe button. We want to thank everybody for watching tonight. And turn on the bell notifications as well so you know when we go live. We're going to go live again on Wednesday night. Look for it.
It might be Thursday. I have to confirm my schedule. We'll let you know, though.
Yeah,
something Wednesday.
We'll put something out on Twitter. So everybody, thanks for watching.